What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Sloppy Saturdays. And today we are talking about Taron Dickens going to UNC. This is a guy that was very hyped up where he was at Western Carolina, and now he's going to join UNC as part of Bill Belichick's quarterback room. This is also a pretty big story because recently we have seen a lot of FCS star quarterbacks really transition well to the Power Four and become Power Four stars. Like you look at Diego Pavia and Trinidad Chambliss as of recent, those are two guys that have really became Power Four college football stars. I mean, you're looking at two of the best players in the sport last year at their position. So we're going to talk about if Taron Dickens can take a similar path to those guys and why I don't think it's going to happen because his situation is entirely different. Now, again, very similar with Taron Dickens to those two guys. I mean, you're talking about guys with smaller stature, but Taron Dickens is extremely small. He might be the smallest quarterback in Power 4 football. I mean, when you look at 5'11", 180 pounds, he's a lot smaller than guys of Diego Pavia and Trinidad Chambliss. But I believe Taron Dickens' situation is entirely different than those guys. Now, when we look at him compared to Trinidad Chambliss, like Trinidad Chambliss, again, he won his division, his conference championship. So he did end off that season, again, as the champion for his school at Ferris State. But I believe Taron Dickens is coming in with way more hype than even Trinidad Chambliss came in. Trinidad Chambliss was kind of an unknown. When you look at Taron Dickens, I mean, he went viral middle of the season. I mean, again, his 46, I believe, consecutive completion game, that game went completely viral. And again, his stats going 74% for the year in completion percentage. This guy, again, is a well-known commodity. But I do believe, like I said, with his size, there was a reason why it took so long for this guy to get picked up. I think there's a lot of that with Taron Dickens. Like, I don't know if a 5'11", 180-pound quarterback can really succeed at the next level. But again, when you look at Taron Dickens compared to Billy Edwards in that room, I think Billy Edwards is really going to have a leg up on Taron Dickens. Like, I don't think it's going to be a guarantee Taron Dickens wins that job. When you look at Billy Edwards, he has 4 years of Power 4 experience. Again, he really only has 1 full year starting for Maryland in 2024. And even in that year, he didn't light it up. When you look at Billy Edwards, 2,881 yards in that year, 15 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So again, Billy Edwards hasn't shown much on tape in the Power 4 that he could be a great quarterback. But again, when you look at the size, 6'3", 228 pounds. So you're talking about 48 pounds more than him, about 3-4 inches taller than Taron Dickens. So again, Billy Edwards is the prototypical size and does have that Power 4 experience. So I do believe Billy Edwards is going to have a leg up on Taron Dickens. But like I said, with the Taron Dickens hype, and again, his play style being able to be accurate and being able to make good decisions, like those are his two best traits. I mean, those are the best traits you could possibly have for a quarterback going from FCS to Power 4. I do believe, again, no matter who wins this job, it's not going to be smooth sailing at all. Because the difference is with Taron Dickens, if he were to win this job, compared to a Trinidad Chambliss, compared to a Diego Pavia, those guys were going into very good situations. I know people don't look at Vanderbilt as they did a couple years ago, as they do now. But Vanderbilt, again, with Brent Key, with the pieces they had around Diego Pavia, he was set in a spot to succeed. And we saw Vanderbilt be a winning team for 2+ years. And then when you look at Trinidad Chambliss, him going to Ole Miss, again, not a guy that won the job right away, but with Austin Simmons being injured and him coming in, again, his skill set was ready to succeed in the Power 4. But it's also very important to talk about the pieces that were around the Trinidad Chambliss. When you look at, again, the multitude of receivers he had and Kawan Lacey being an absolute star in college football and having one of the best coaches for majority of that season, and an Ole Miss team being a team that was prepared to make a college football playoff run from the start of the season to the end. Like, this is a very different situation than Taron Dickens is stepping into. Now, I don't believe in Taron Dickens, again, because I don't think his size will be able to hold up in the Power 4. But like I said, he does have the accuracy, anticipation, and decision-making to possibly succeed in a situation in the Power 4. But going to UNC, again, with him not having that demand in the transfer portal, I think if he does win this job, it's going to be very different than those guys. And I don't think he's going to have much of a chance to succeed at all. Like I said, he's beyond the 8 ball in his size. But again, when you look at UNC last year, they were an absolute dumpster fire. They were a joke. They were a circus. But again, when you look at the team in general, from a talent standpoint, they really could not compete in the ACC at all. I mean, it started off with them getting the break speed off of them against TCU. They lost by 30+ in that game. And then it just really continued out through the rest of the season. And with the moves they made in the transfer portal and their recruiting, I don't expect this UNC team to be much better at all. So I think this Taron Dickens pickup, again, for Taron Dickens and for UNC, I think it's just false hype yet again for this program. And I don't think Taron Dickens, if he does start, is going to have much of a chance to succeed because, again, even if it's him or Billy Edwards, like this UNC team is going to be one of the bottom teams in the ACC. Their offense is just not going to win out. And to expect a player to go from the FCS to the Power Four conference and to be on an offense that, again, is not going to win out, I think Taron Dickens is going to be completely overwhelmed. And then, like I said, the main reason why this guy didn't get picked up and it took so long for him to find a team is because of his size. I mean, again, with the cameras, with the hype, I mean, the hype was there in the middle of the season for Taron Dickens. I mean, people were talking about this story like it being an insane story. And again, he did complete 74% of his passes, and he did go in a game completing 46 straight passes. But again, for an FCS player, especially at the quarterback position, I think it is huge the program and team you go to. Like I said again, when you look at Diego Pavia and Trinidad Chambliss being undersized, they were ready with their skill set to compete in Power 4 football, no doubt. But it also comes down to the programs they went to. They went into much better situations than Taron Dickens is going into. I mean, he's going to one of the worst Power 4 teams in the Power 4. And I don't think he's going to really have much of a chance to succeed, even if he could, even though I don't believe in the story and the size and everything around it. He doesn't have much of a chance to succeed at UNC. That's why Taron Dickens' story is much different than a Diego Pavia, than a Trinidad Chambliss. Sometimes your situation can make or break you. And I think UNC, again, if this guy starts, not to be repetitive, it's going to break him. That wraps up the story of Sloppy Saturdays. Drop down below your opinion on this Taron Dickens transfer. Do you think Taron Dickens has the capability to succeed in the Power 4? Do you think this is a good situation for him? Or do you think, very similar to me, this is just all hype and this isn't going to work out? Again, that wraps up this episode, and we are out.